This is what.
Well, this is a good variety of the furs you
Uh-huh.
could have in the area.
Okay.
So the big one, the big trader, was this guy right here,
Beaver.
beaver fur.
Yeah.
So this is a large beaver fur called a made beaver, and it's actually still on actual hide.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are on the fake stuff, like this one. But this is on real hide.
Yeah, yeah.
This would be considered one made beaver pelt, and it was almost a form of currency here at the fort. So one made beaver pelt would get you one made beaver token, and that was almost like money here. You would trade that for all your other goods. The reason the beaver pelt was so valuable was because in England in the 1800s, fancy top hats like this were very, very popular. These would be made from beaver fur.
Wow.
Now, the way they would make it is there's two types of hair on a beaver pelt. There's the very long hair like this, and if you rub against the grain, you can get to the under fur. So it's a lot softer and a lot smaller.
All right.
What they would do is pluck all the large hairs out until all that's left is the undercoat. Once you've gotten to that point, you take a mercury solution and you spread it all over your pelt. This is called carroting. What it does is it makes the fur much more coarse, so it'll mat together. Once you have carroted your fur, it also kind of turns the tips a little orange. But once you've done that, you separate the hide from the fur. And now you're left with the undercoat, which has been carroted, and you mash it into a pulp, and it mats together. Once you have it matted together, you can form it into a hat like this.
Wow.
The folks who made these hats were known as hatters, and they often went crazy because they would succumb to mercury poisoning from the carroting process, which is where we get the expression, mad as a hatter. Exactly. So, as time changed, the hatters started becoming better at what they did. And when they did, they learned they could actually make hats out of a variety of types of furs, not just beaver. And they also got more access to silk from the east. Once they had silk, they liked to make the silk hats, and it started taking the value of the beaver down a bit. But, generally speaking, every fur can be used for that. We have a wide variety of furs here. Some of the more popular ones, like mink here, you might have seen people wearing mink coats. This is a mink. Very, very sleek fur. We also have my personal favorite, pine marten, which is much softer, much loftier fur, but it's very similar to mink. They're omnivores, they scavenge for whatever food they can, as well as eat sleeping birds and trees.
What is this order?
This is a river otter, a very large river otter. So you can see just how big they are. This has actually got a little nicer of a fur to this one, but it's a little smaller.
Yeah, yeah.
So river otter, here's an interesting one that not many people are aware of. This is a type of weasel, it's called a fisher.
Oh.
And they don't actually fish, so it's not a very good name for it. But they scavenge along the forest floors. They're omnivores. They eat mushrooms, berries. They've actually found moose inside of them, so I know that they scavenge.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, they're a type of weasel that lives on the floor. Let's see. Since we're on weasels, I'll bring you in another one. This weasel.
A badger.
Not a badger.
No?
Actually, a little more ferocious. This is our badger right here.
Okay.
This,
Wolverine?
Wolverine.
Uh-huh.
Wolverines around here?
Yep. There are wolverines in BC. I've actually seen one, unfortunately.
Really?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Over here, close by?
Hiding out in Duffy Lake, actually.
Oh.
And the big way you can tell it's wolverine, one, you can smell it. They're also often called bear skunks because they're bear-like and they stink like a skunk. And two, you can see almost like a golden saddle that kind
And
of goes around their haunches.
they don't back down from nobody.
No, they don't. These guys are vicious, often called the hyenas of North America. They can crunch through bones like hyenas can and eat the marrow, as well as take down a full-grown caribou. Now, they're not going to target a healthy one. They're obviously going to target a weaker one, but they have been known to take down large game like that. They are incredibly ferocious and very, very reclusive. They'll have a range of over 100 kilometers, so only one wolverine per 100-kilometer range.